We got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hold on,
I wasn't going to join in.
I don't know if she's going to or not. She's got the at home schedule. So
This chapter reminded me of that scene in Black Hawk Down where they're like, all right, they had their back plates out, and the guy actually ended up getting shot in the back because he wasn't wearing his back plate.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is an actual real thing. Wow.
Shit really happens.
Skinnies can't shoot or something like that.
What is it that he said? I'm not going to be running away.
Yep, that's what he said in the movie too. I don't know about you, but
Can you outrun a bullet? But I mean, that was, pretty accurate, right? Like, I mean, just in general, there's a lot in our world of safety, right? Which there's safety too, but it's just that mentality of, I don't really need to deal with that. I'm gonna just do it my way. So my favorite safety story is when I was at RGW. We were in Santa Cruz actually building the by Harbor High School, that fucking overpass.
Oh, really? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but we were doing retaining walls too, and so the retaining wall down by
La Fonda Crossing.
Yeah, La Fonda. That's right. It's like La Fonda.
Yep.
By La Fonda.
That's where everyone used to go smoke cigarettes in school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so we're building a retaining wall, and they had I think they had the forms up, and they were building the platform for the guys to stand on, right? And so I had this one labor foreman. His name was Johnny, and his son just happened to be also on the same job, and he was an apprentice at the time, right? And so they're putting the catwalk together, and they had the 2x12s down, but they didn't have the handrail up yet, right? And so Johnny grabs a 2x4, walks all the way to the far end, unprotected, to start there and work his way back. I'm like, oh, dude, Johnny. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he's like, huh? Right? He's like, oh, like, dude, your kid's watching you. Like, you're teaching him how to do this right now. And like, he literally, why wouldn't you start right here and work your way out, build the handrail as you go? It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, man. But,
so you walked over the freeway? Or is this
on
the side?
It was on the side,
okay,
so it was a fall protection issue.
Yeah,
right? So he's definitely farther than 6 foot off the ground.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was one of those teachable moments where it's like, it was like, how else could you do this and still achieve the same goal, which is to put up the handrail without taking the risk of falling off while you're doing it?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you really want to be the guy who falls off the fucking platform putting up the handrail? Dumb. But those kinds of things, right? There's the cowboys. We always call it the cowboy mentality, right? I don't need to do that. I'm
Yeah.
I don't need to wear my hard hat.
I remember some masons on a job in Fremont. This guy was cutting stone, and I had what's those gloves called? The stretchies, like they're really big. Scotty, you know the name. What's the really common work gloves?
Like the G-Tex MaxiFlex glove?
MaxiFlex, yeah. So I had some MaxiFlex on, and I was in my button up. I was an assistant super, and he's like ripping on me for being a pussy because I had gloves on. He's like, me? I don't need gloves. And he's sitting there cutting stone, covered in the silica matter, not wearing a mask, no eye protection. And I was like, wow, this guy's ego, he's so tough. And this was right when I started learning about all the silica stuff that was happening. It's like, and I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But there's like that macho mentality of I don't wear gloves, I don't do this. I'm like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want my hands to be all roughed up.
Yeah, that's the guy that's also going to the doctor constantly going, I don't know why I got to take 54 pills and
Yeah.
You know, don't understand why my joints and stuff ache all the time and all that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely grew up in the macho mentality of construction. Yeah. But even as a kid, I wore gloves.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, but not always.
There's some pictures, old pictures of Sean on the big machines, like absolutely no PP on, like no shit on. And then he's like, you guys can't post that because he has no protection on.
You can post whatever you want.
Fully operating a machine, no helmet.
It was the good old days.
Yeah.
That's what the cat's for.
There's my fall protection.
Yeah.
Fall protection is don't fall off, dummy.
And I mean, yeah, it makes things easier when you don't have to do things like wear fall protection or wear your ballistic plate, because you can move quicker, you can do those things, but it also comes at a high cost. And is it really worth being able to run faster or get to that next piece of 2x4 a little quicker to seriously consider like losing your life? You know what I mean? Like, that's the high cost of trying to gain 4 seconds in your day. And, you know, it's just not worth it. And that's why they have, you know, these, you know, OSHA rules and, you know, these guidelines in place that, you know, are going to help you just continue to be safe so you can show up day after day after day. And,
Yeah.
you know, and it ties in perfectly with this week, you know, Construction Safety Week.
Yeah, there's the famous. It's just going to take me a minute, right? That's the rationale most guys will use if they're not gonna put on the harness or they're not gonna tie off. It's, I'm just gonna be there for a minute, right? And every guy who's ever fallen off the scaffold or had something happen was the guy who's, it's just gonna take me a minute. I don't need it. It's just a minute.
Yeah. I think that people react better to being held accountable also when their hands aren't being held and not being scrutinized super. I mean, obviously if you have to get in there and really get on them about it, then that's one thing. But if you give them the direction, like, hey, this is what we're doing now, make it happen, and then you stand there and follow them around the office to make sure they do it, that's not going to get the best reaction. You got to give people the room to breathe and like let them do it. And that was one thing I took away from this. Okay, don't need to be involved in every step. Just give them the why.
Yeah, as I say, the why is the most important part, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so to expand on what Sandy was saying, when I was a kid, I grew up in the woods working with my dad. But, we had some hard hats and some earmuffs that we would wear at times, but it wasn't a heavily regulated environment, right? Like, I still remember getting into like a 15-foot deep trench because the tooth came off the bucket and I needed to go get that tooth. It's like, oh my God, how dumb are you, right? Also, I remember we were doing a demolition project up in Zayani, and there was a bay window on the side of this house. It was on a cliff, the old pole houses, remember those? And my dad's like, me and my cousin, get in the bucket of the excavator. We're like 20 feet in the air. And of course, we're standing in the bucket and the fucking window's over there, right? So we're hanging off trying to get this fucking window, right? Dad needed that window. I think about shit like that. So when I went to work at my first like real job with Reber, I mean, we had a safety program that we wore hard hats the best, but it wasn't until I got to Granite where it was really like heavily enforced. It was like, no, you guys, you either do this shit or you don't work here, right? And that's when I think I started to really understand the why. The why wasn't because we had these check marks we needed to get done. It was because if we every safety rule comes because somebody's gotten hurt or killed. I mean, that's what happens.
Mhm.
And if you make it a part of your culture to just be safe, then you go home at the end of every day and you come back to work the next day, right? And the why is it's not just about the company, it's about making sure that you go home every day at the end of the day, and at least as good a shape as you showed up, sometimes better, depending on who you are. But it was the why, like you said, and that's, as the supervisor, I honed in on the why, and that's how I think I got across to the guys in the field who were it's only a minute. Oh, I don't really need this. It's like, you may think you don't need it, but that's the moment you need it, because you don't know what's going to happen between that. In that minute and a half, you're standing over that trench with no harness on. Like, you don't know. So
Yeah.
People die in construction. So, there was another one, guy in Santa Cruz. I don't remember what company he worked for, but he went into a manhole to pull they had a test plug in the sewer. And, when you test sewer, it's only like 5 pounds. It's not a lot of pressure, but it's enough pressure that when he got down in there, that plug popped out, it killed him, hit him in the chest, killed him. I mean, so it's like, another freak accident was Paparo Dunes. Remember where we went for, what was that, Seascape? The Seascape job?
Mhm.
So when they were, no, I'm sorry, wrong job. I'm thinking, know where Blue Ball Park is in SoCal?
Yeah.
So that housing development that went in the 90s, right? So they had a tub grinder. They were grinding all the trees and stumps in a big old tub grinder. So tooth drops off the excavator, shoots out of the tub grinder, travels like, I think it was like 200, 300 feet, and hit a guy in the head and killed him.
So it fell into the grinder.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, and the guy out didn't have a hard hat on because he wasn't working, right? But he was on site. And it was that was another one of those incidents that just really kind of like hit it home for me. It's like, how hard is it to wear a hard hat? You hear guys complain about it. It's like, let's put it on.
Yeah.
Granted, we had a few of the operators that didn't like to wear their hard hats because, we're in the cab. And technically, they don't need to wear it if they're in the cab. But I said, well, how'd you get to the machine? You had to walk, right? You don't have it in there, so when you got out, you didn't have it. It's like, just put it on.
Yeah,
it's really not that big a deal. Just fucking wear it, man. Just make it a habit. Now, that's what I was getting at. It's the habit thing, right? If the habit is, I'm only going to be there for a minute, so I don't need it. Well, you're just gonna do that over and over and over again. But once you get in the habit of putting your gloves on, it's like it literally doesn't take any more time than it normally does, because it's just part of your day. You just put your shit on, and go to work, right? So I think we veered pretty far off course on this, but what was the practical application for business on this one?
So there was a company that they sounded like a service company, and they were doing things at people's homes or businesses where they needed to upload data of what they installed and what service was provided into a digital platform, and they weren't doing it. And it was the sales team used that data to upsell people and also let salespeople know what was done, so they didn't call a customer and say something. The customer would go, yeah, well, you guys just did that. Like, it makes them seem like they don't care. So the executives, sound like it was a nationwide company, had tried to incentivize the technicians to put this data in. Jocko went and talked to them all, and they said, well, it's this form, this digital form, it's hard to use. I have to hand punch all the clients' information in every time, and switching from page to page takes a while. We don't have cell service necessarily, and it takes a minute per page, so it was cumbersome. And and also, and so his conclusion was basically that the executives needed to get the message down to the techs on the why this data is so important. And the why that they used was that it lets the company grow, because the techs don't care if the company makes money. They get a paycheck every week, right? Or every 2 weeks.
Yeah, they don't care until the paycheck shuts off.
Yeah, so they framed it like, why does this help you? Well, it lets the company grow, which means we get more technicians, you guys get paid more, and then with more technicians, more management roles open up, so there's upward mobility created, and you guys can slide into manager roles here, and that was the application that they used. So.
Yeah, and I think they fixed the tech problem, right?
Yeah, they had to fix the tech problem.
Yeah, which was part of the executive team not understanding, because they didn't communicate with techs to understand why they were filling out the forms.
Yeah, they did a like, it sounded like they did like a test run before they implemented it, and they implemented the tech, and they never went back and checked, hey, how's this working for you guys?
Yeah.
Do you have any issues with the software?
Lots of issues with software.
It sounded like to me in that there was a lot of lack of communication up and down the chain of command.
Yeah.
Because the techs weren't, sharing that information that, hey, we're having to do all these issues, or they kind of were, I guess, but then the next level above wasn't pushing that up so that, hey, let's get these things in this software fixed. Our company actually, Whitecap actually recently rolled out a program, a software called Insight. Basically, it takes like Dodge Construct Connect and Salesforce and a couple of other like things, and it's combining it all into one. And starting out, it was very clunky to use. It was kind of like you couldn't navigate through it very easily. You had to do a lot of different things, but they have actually been very good about getting feedback from users in the field and updating this stuff so it's becoming more and more like capable. And it's important to hear that, because if you're not hearing that, it's never going to get updated. And then the people at the top are going to be going, well, why aren't you using it? That was that exact scenario. And, they spent all this money to do it. So now it's like, okay, well, we're going to start cutting, the middle guys, you're going to, when you're not hitting your numbers, we're going to cut you 10 because they're not using it. Well, that's not a good solution either. You want them to start using it, not just take people's money away, So.
Yeah, and they realized that
chain of command is important.
Sorry. That 10% cut, people decided to take that hit in this case because they could go service more clients if they just took the hit and did more jobs rather than enter the data. They're like, yeah, well, the numbers work better this way. So
for me personally, I'll make more money if I just do more jobs. Yeah, so fuck the
take
data.
your fucking 10%.
That the data stack is one of the most difficult things for companies to do. I even at Granite, like, we adopted HCSS early. We used HCSS job or heavy job or whatever the fuck they call it, which is basically the cost tracking module. So time cards fed into it. All of your budgets were supposed to feed into it. But at the end of the day, the program that actually did the accounting was something else. And the data was always old. Like, you couldn't go out of the accounting software and get live data because they only inputted data X amount of times per week or month. I don't remember what the cadence was. So it was basically a lot like what they were dealing with. It's like, oh, you guys got to fill out all this information in this box because we need that information to make decisions. But then you find out that information never actually goes anywhere to make decisions. So what did we do? We ended up back on Excel. Mm-hmm. We ended up back doing we used to call it the daily cost report, right? Where each engineer would do just like our T&M sheet. They would do basically that in Excel to then show our daily costs, whether we were making budget or not making budget, right? But even that, by the time you got to the end of the month, you got the actual financial report, there was discrepancies that would obviously develop because you got these siloed data centers, right?
Mhm.
And so you get to the end of the month, and you're like, well, shit, I thought we were winning on this item, but turns out since none of us knew about this, some expense that gets dumped in by the ivory tower, like we didn't make any money on that item, right? It's just that whole data stack is so hard to get right, but you can see when a company does figure out a way to get it right, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But garbage in, garbage out. So
Right, right.
your data has to go in and be accurate. So, but yeah, that whole beat them up. What's at the beatings will continue until morale improves. Doesn't ever work.
That should be one of your quotes on the thing.
Will continue until morale improves. All right, Mr. Scotty, drive carefully.
Will do.
Where are you off to today?
I'm actually headed out to Lodi right now. Yeah, which isn't too bad for me because I live in Discovery Bay, so shooting out to Lodi, just take Highway 4 and I'm almost there. But got a customer with an office out there that I got to drop some stuff off to. So after that, I'll probably be back toward the house and maybe a couple of jobs kind of local to that, Brentwood and Oakley, something like that.
Awesome. All right, bud. We will see you next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Bye, you too.